And Button calls me, and I never pick up the phone. I told you this. I hate talking on the phone.
Nobody does.
But I'm like, well, what's Button's calling me? So I was like, hello. He goes, I have to tell you that Jamie McLennan, prima donna. I was just like, wow. So let's let Noodles respond to this. Jamie McLennan joins us on the show this morning. Noodles, what's happening, buddy? Can you believe Craig Button slagging you like that?
That's really tough news to hear on a Tuesday morning. I mean, there's nothing I can do. Unfortunately, the travel schedule is set. You know what? I thought I was doing everyone a favor, because usually it's like the night before I'm flying and I'll message you and go, oh, hey, I forgot I'm on a flight tomorrow instead of all of this. So I was trying to get ahead of it. But maybe Craig was cranky because he had to work last night and he was on the season preview show. He did a great job, though, as usual. But I don't think I'm a prima donna. I'm the least thing away from a prima donna. I work with a few, but I'm not one of them. Put it that way. So
he did give the time, though. It was a good buffer for.
I mean, I was fine with everything.
Yeah,
it was Button that felt the need to. Now Craig's a phone call guy. Like when I do games, I've done some games with Craig. We'll be like we'll be going on the air in like 3 minutes, and Craig will be like, just gotta take a call.
Did he just rant at you and then hang up? Like, was it kind of like a...
Yeah, it was like a Costanza call. Jamie McLennan's prima donna, but I'll do Wednesday. Click. That's kind of how it was. All right, Noodles, what was the reaction like in Toronto yesterday after McDavid signed, obviously, not only an extension in Edmonton, but extension with no raise in Edmonton?
I mean, flabbergasted, but I will say I think Jason Strudwick summed it up best with his tweet saying, I think they spelled Toronto Maple Leafs wrong on the press release, because I think there's a full belief that in Toronto people thought it was a foregone conclusion. He was going to play it out and he was coming to Toronto. I had a different theory, which he kept saying, I want to be with a team that's going to compete for a cup for the next 3 to 5 years. And I've always believed that he was going to stay with the Oilers, because I look at that roster. It's probably his best opportunity to win a cup is with the team that he's with right now, given that Draisaitl's there. You're going to get a healthy Hyman at some point. RNH, I think, is going to have a better year. I love the Wallman signing. I think this team, you got Bouchard at 24 years old. Regardless of what people think, Stuart Skinner's only 26. You've gone and got Howard. Savoy looks like he's going to push through. Like they might have cycled through here where you're giving yourself a good opportunity, not only for this year, but in the next couple years. So I think it was shockwaves throughout the league, because you're looking at all these other organizations and all these other players that just had to get every cent out of every contract. And Connor just puts his hand up. And this is more, Sidney Crosby-esque, where it's like, just give me a number. I'm fine. And I'm going to make it, team friendly so that you can use that money to help build the guys around me. So it was a selfless play. I think we don't see enough of that in today's world. The only thing that comes to mind recently, and I know the salary's a lot different, was Josh Allen. I know Josh Allen in Buffalo could have signed for a lot more. And I remember his comments after saying, like, that's a lot of money. We're fine. My wife's fine. My kids will be fine. My grandkids will be fine. Like, he just basically said, I just want to play football. And Connor McDavid made a statement yesterday throughout the league saying, I want to win in Edmonton, and I'm going to hand the ball to them to do everything they can to surround me with great players so that I can get it done in Edmonton. So I thought it was an unbelievable, selfless signing, which sends shockwaves right through the league.
Well, that's where I want to take this next, Jamie. And we were discussing when the money came down yesterday, we're like, there had to have been a plan in place. It's not like McDavid signs this and says, okay, guys, now go and do your thing. I mean, obviously the ball is in management hands right now, but you have to think that there's some sort of forethought put into this. And I mean, I don't think it's unfair. We were talking earlier for fans to now dream as big as you want, because with his pull and his selflessness, I mean, it's a very, very interesting project, not just this year with the players you mentioned, but the next two as well.
Well, you look at how much cap space potentially they have for next season alone. It's north of 20 million, right? And yes, you're going to have to sign some players and all of that. But, if it doesn't work out this year, he's given them at least more runway and more financial flexibility for the next couple years to go big fish hunting if that's available. Everyone right away is like, well, that means you can go get a goaltender. I still think they would probably covet a top six forward that would fit in. I think Savoy's a nice player. I think Mangiapane's going to be a good fit. I've watched every minute of the preseason. Even one game, it was hard to watch online, but I've grinded through it. But because I think they not only sent Bakersfield, do they have an East Coast League team? They sent one team there.
A few of them look like that. Yeah.
I'm not even recognizing players, but just looking at it, like I think what he's done is given them an opportunity to set up for this year and for the next couple of years. But also it's a statement saying, you got 3 years. We've got 3 years to win. We've got 3 years to do everything we can to win. And I'll kick the can down the road where his next contract, he can write for himself something with a 2 in it, 22, 23 million when the cap is going to be that high. So I thought it was a terrific situation, but Stan Bowman, who's a hard worker, and I think he's done a good job. They've got their work cut out for them because the team is good, and there's no doubt about that. But you need that next level, and we'll see if they can pull that off this season.
I've been asked a few times now, how does this impact these other guys like Eichel and Connor and Noodles? My answer every time is it doesn't. Like it's such a unique, like weird situation that McDavid would just say no raise. Like I think it's such a strange decision that nobody could really compare to this when they're trying to get their own deal done. No, it's an outlier because what you're looking at is, excuse me, people could always point to Sidney Crosby's contract and go, that guy, is a Mount Rushmore player and he makes 8.7. And Geno Malkin goes, good for Sidney. I want 9.5. Yeah. When he won the Hart. So I think you're right. I think that you park that one and go, that was a unique situation. But it also, I think what it does is put on blast where if you're a fan, and even if you're in the organization, tell me how much you want to win. Because, really, if you could get, let's call it 14 million and you're going to push for 16, then you're really saying, I just want the 16. I don't really care about that 2 million that could be sprinkled on the infield and have a better team. So it almost puts the onus back on the player going, okay, tell your fan base how much you want to win. Because the best player and arguably the greatest player of all time, and Sidney Crosby is, one of them as well, have said money isn't the factor. It's about winning and giving yourself an opportunity. About winning and giving yourself an opportunity. Let's just follow that up with this year's team right now. I know you talked about it a little bit, but we're seeing them as basically having the best, second best, or third best odds on winning the Stanley Cup, depending on where you look. Some analytical models say that they have the best percentage chance to win the Stanley Cup. I believe some websites have their roster as one of the top 2 or 3 in the entire league. And it's different than the one that we saw the last few years. It's a little bit younger. I think it might be a little bit softer for now, at least. But do you got another run at it here to win the Stanley Cup again this year with the way that this roster is currently constructed?
I do think so, but I also think that I would put a little caveat beside it and say this roster is still a work in progress.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you can take the first 20 games, 25 games to assess how good Savoy might be. And then, you can look at him and go, okay, where is he going to fit ultimately when we're going to be in the third round of the playoffs? Do you believe he can handle and withstand that type of, battle? Same thing with Howard, who's not a big body. You're going to look at stuff like that. And that's why I keep saying, like, maybe that money and you take a look at it and moving the deck chairs around, I still think you covet players like, and again, I don't quote me on this, but I'm looking at Raquel, Brian Rust, players like that who have tenure, who are known proven scorers, or guys who are top 6, like for sure cemented players. I think you can add to that group, and you can always grab a little bit more size and toughness at the deadline, a little bit farther down if you're in your roster, if you feel like you're getting pushed around. I like that Phil player. I really do. I think he's a big body. I think he's got nice hands. I think he can skate well. So again, I think what you're looking at it with this team, the roster the way it's built right now, absolutely cup contender, but it's still a work in progress. I would love to see when we're going to have a conversation right after the trade deadline. Let's take a look at what this team looks like on paper compared to what it is today and starting this week. It's going to look different, and I would argue that it's going to be better after the trade deadline, just based on some of the things that Stan's going to be able to do this year in moving players around and who's having a good season and who's not having a good season.
Another name, and an important one as well, that kind of got lost in the shuffle yesterday, was Jake Wallman. 7'7". Yeah. I know you were saying Dusty 6'5", maybe, or whatever. And
well, I mean, I think a lot of defensemen are going to get $7 million over the next couple of years.
I mean, an outstanding guy, a lot of good upside. I think, a pretty fair deal there as well for both sides.
I thought it was a terrific deal. Keep in mind they paid a lot to get him, but he's a guy that, again, where he is slotted in Edmonton, if you put him on another team, he probably slots higher. Right. So, you're getting a really good player in his prime. He's familiar with Connor. Obviously, they're friends and childhood friends, all of that type of stuff. And he's got a big shot. He skates well. He's got some bite to him. You look at this defensive core, and I know there's an argument. Yes, Nurse. Listen, we talk until we're blue in the face when it comes to Darnell Nurse.
Yeah.
But if Nurse can just play his game, we don't look at his salary, just look at what his game is capable of. You get a healthy Ekholm. You get, Bouchard, a little bit more stable, another year of experience. You got Wallman. Like, to me, Kulak is probably one of the biggest bargains in the National Hockey League. I think he's a guy that I would hope that they could get under term moving forward. He's a local guy, very versatile. I really like their defensive core. They're mobile. They can move the puck. They can be physical. And I think that Wallman signing, whether you think it was 6'5" or 7, keep in mind 2 years from now when the cap is, 104 and then up to 113, a lot of these guys' deals are going to look like a actual, a massive bargain, including Leon Draisaitl, who I think is going to play his whole career on a bargain, which is unbelievable. But, he's not going to be starving. He's going to make lots of money. But I think of Leon Draisaitl at 14.5 when the cap is going to be 120. These are some unbelievable signings that the Oilers have on term here. And even, Bouchard at 24 years old, 10.5. That's going to look like a bargain a couple of years from now, even when he's getting, 70 points a season. So it's they're set to move forward, but Connor did them a huge favor yesterday.
Well said, Noodles. We appreciate the time, man. Thanks for stepping in today.
Well, I'm just going for my massage and whatever else, getting my nails done and whatever Craig Button thinks I'm doing. I'm going to work out. I'm going to scratch my back and I'm going to enjoy myself.
Of course you are.
I will say, before you brought me on, there was some sort of like Connor McDavid medley or something.
Yeah, that's his really goal song.
Really well done.
Hey, yeah, thanks, man. We like to put together sticky parodies on the show, so that one's been played a lot over the last 10 years.
I can imagine.
Awesome stuff, man. We'll talk to you next week.
You bet. We'll take care.